Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session, The Future of Creativity in the Age of Generative AI. We're very happy to be here. And in 1843, nearly 200 years ago, Ada Lovelace had a vision that computers could create music. This dream has now become a reality. And the creative achievements of AI, once unimaginable, are now an evolving and fascinating reality. The question of whether a machine could compete with creative giants like Mozart, like Bach, like Shakespeare and Rembrandt were once seemed unimaginable. However, AI technologies have developed significantly and contribute to showcasing new capabilities. AI is not new. It's been with us for 70 years, but it seems that the developments in generative AI in the last year and a half were the big bang, and it's referred to as the biggest change in the 100 or even 500 last 500 years, and that's what we are going to discuss today. We meet today at a fascinating and complex time when AI is revolutionizing the creative industries, especially the music industry. AI can analyze and understand data at unprecedented speed and produce musical compositions that surprise us with their precision, their complexity, and emotion. The new tools allow musicians and creators to break boundaries and explore new horizons. We're in a situation where AI is not just a technical tool, but it's a real partner in creating music. I want to play some examples. So, Francois Pachet in 2016 created, who is with us today. He was at Sony at the time, and he launched the Floor Machine, an AI technology for composing music. And in September 2016, they released that song, Daddy's Car, which is considered the first pop song in the world created by AI, and it is based on a selection of the Beatles song. Let's hear a few sounds.
Like something new, it turns me on. Good day, sunshine in the backseat car. I wish that road could never stop. Down on the ground, the rainbow led me to the sun. Please, mother, drive and then play it.
Okay, so that's pop song, but what would you say if we hear classical music, violin? What do you say about this, for example? Classical music, this is released, it was released a month ago by violinist Daniel Kurganov. What you're hearing is music entirely composed by AI and played by AI. And I think that this does challenge many conceptions, and you might start asking yourself some questions. 35 seconds. That's the previous one, yes. 30 seconds, something like that, yes. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll carry on. It doesn't matter. And anyway, let's say that the next one is actually what would you say if you just whistled a tune and then the AI created an entire song from that?
Ooh, ah, gonna hum. Ooh, gonna hum. Ooh,
So I think that the advanced technology brings with it unlimited possibilities for creation, collaboration, and innovation. However, alongside the excitement about the creative potential, we must face complex questions and significant challenges. Does this technology enhance human creativity or does it threaten it? How can we ensure that AI shall not replace us? The technological developments raise deep philosophical questions and require us to rethink the nature of art, of creativity, of technology, and even what it means to be human. AI also challenges a fundamental principle of copyright law and creates substantial challenges. Copyright law is based on the assumption of a human author. But what about works created by the machine? Should there be a copyright protection? And if so, who should own the rights to such a work? It can be the user, it can be the programmer, it can be the machine, it can be maybe a joint authorship, it can be maybe a work made for hire, or maybe we don't need copyright for such a work. So today's conference basically is intended to address these questions and many others. We will hear from some of the world-leading experts in AI, art, and music about the latest developments in that field, and which will discuss the impact of AI on the creative process, the opportunities and challenges, and try to understand together what the future of creativity and, in fact, of humanity will look like in the generative AI era. This conference is a joint initiative of S. Horowitz & Co. and the AI Week. S. Horowitz is Israel's first established law firm and recently celebrated its 100 years anniversary. Our firm actually was formed before the State of Israel, but alongside the tradition and the legacy for excellence, we innovate and we have established a pioneering department specializing in the development and in this significant field, AI, aiming to assist companies and organizations to navigate in this new legal world. I especially want to thank the distinguished speakers who have come from around the world to participate in this truly unique conference. It is not taken for granted, particularly in these times, and we greatly appreciate it. I would like to thank S. Horowitz & Co., the managing partners, and Limor and all the marketing team at S. Horowitz, and to Gili and the entire team at the AI Week for their hard work and assisting me in producing this conference. And to you, thank you very much for coming, and we wish you a fruitful, interesting, and inspiring conference. We cannot forget the hostages, and we wish for their return home soon. I'm pleased to invite Mr. Francois Pachet to the stage. Mr. Francois has been a pioneer in AI-assisted music creation. He developed many AI tools with the attempts to combine both the viewpoint of the musician and of scientist. He was a principal investigator of the Flow Machine at Sony, creating Daddy's Car, and then Hello World, the first mainstream music album composed with AI. He is also a musician and published 2 music albums. He's a composer and performer, later was at the Spotify, and he's with us today. Francois, and welcome.
With this mic? Yes. Hello. Thanks for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, I'm very happy and honored to come here, especially in those times, and to talk a little bit about AI and music generation. What is the situation? What's going on? And the title you will see is very specific. Before this, I just wanted to go very quickly about what I've done, but Eyal just said it. I've been working in this subject for 25 years. Mostly because I'm a researcher, I'm like an engineer, scientist, but I was always fascinated by the question, why is music interesting? Why do I like this song and not that song? What makes all these songs interesting to me? And I always thought, AI can be a way to understand better what is a good song and maybe to generate new songs. And so I've been doing this for a while. It has been said that Daddy's Car, it's already 8 years ago. Then we did this album called Hello World with a great musician in France called Stromae, who is well known in Europe. And we made a few songs with him and with the AI that I developed at Sony at that time. And then we did other albums with Spotify and so on. And so I have a clicker. Can I click here? Is this one? I'm not very good. How can I click and go forward? I'm not sure. This one? Oh, yes. So I don't have so much time, but one of the nicest songs that we have been making with AI is this one, in the House of Poetry. I don't have the time to play it. Go and listen to it on Apple Music, Deezer, Amazon, Spotify, whatever. And the idea here was to create a song that was as good as the song that we liked, especially the last song of the Jungle Book. I don't know if you know the last song of the Jungle Book, when Mowgli leaves his friends and go to meet the girl. And then there is a very nice song. And I think this song is as nice as that one, and I won't play it so that you have to go and listen to it. Okay. Now, I still didn't get how I get, oh yes, oops, sorry. Can I go backward? Yes, so this is the title. Today, you know, lots of people talk about AI in music, and the question I have is the problem solved? Is it all right now? Is it done? Or is it not done, you know? And I will answer this, give you an answer which of course is not simple, but I will say yes, but, right? First thing I want to really emphasize is the first time in the history of mankind that we have come from scarcity to superabundance. When I was a teenager, I was privileged to have like 100 records, which is approximately 1,000 titles, which I would know by heart. Nowadays, a young guy has 100 million titles quickly, you know, almost for free. Everything is available. Plus, every day, there is approximately 100,000 new titles on all the platforms. It's all the same, Spotify, Amazon, whatever, which is really about 100,000 times more than what I had when I was young, right? And so the thing is, we don't know actually how to manage this. It's really hard, and this has nothing to do with AI. It's the situation for music. It's actually exactly the same for books and for all the culture that has been digitized today. So, and this is very new, and AI is arriving at a state where it's already quite a big mess, if I can say. The second problem, I'm really not good at that. I still didn't get which button. The second problem is this one, and here, I know I will not have many friends now anymore, especially the musicians who are making music today. I'm making music today. But many critics agree that there is something wrong with the quality of the mainstream music today. I'm not saying this myself. Many people like Rick Beato, who has millions of followers on the web, he's asking why today's music is so boring. He is saying this, There is a very interesting analysis of all the James Bond soundtracks through the years, which shows very clearly that harmony is going down, melody, lyrics, everything. And there are lots of scientific papers saying approximately the same thing. Okay, this is a situation, and it's not AI. It's because we are in this world where everything is there, and there are so many people making music. Okay, then comes AI. What is AI? Hey, I have 10 seconds. Basically, a deep learning network is a machine which mathematically can approximate any function. Okay, maybe it does make a lot of sense, but the latest incarnation, the transformers, basically what they can do is they can solve any problem as long as it is well-defined. Okay, and that's very, very, very important to understand here what it means, well-defined. Well-defined means you know how to say that this is a good solution and this is not a good solution. You know to say this is a tumor in the radio of the lungs, for instance. It is or it is not, right? Or you know that if it's a chess move, it's a good move or not good move. You can have a function, an evaluation function that tells you if it's good or not, right? And if you have this, many problems are not only solved. So in the case of music, there are two problems that used to be very, very hard that have been not only solved, but they have disappeared from the landscape of research. And all the researchers working on this are very depressed currently because they don't have anything to do, you know. So first one is source separation. You have a mixed signal with lots of instruments. It has been mixed, and you want to separate it back. And it used to be a problem that was so hard, many people thought it was actually impossible to do it right. Now it is done with deep learning, and it's solved. It's done, you know, it's almost perfect. Another problem is singing voice synthesis, as you know, probably. You can imitate the voice of anyone very easily now, and you have heard about all the issues that it raises. And so these problems are solved, it's done, but they are well defined. You know exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to separate the sources, you're trying to imitate a voice, you can measure how good you are, how bad you are, and this measure is going to help you solving the problem, right? And you have heard also about prompt-based generation, which is the subject of the current weeks. Suno, sorry, there is a mistake, MusicML and many others, and Udio. And here I want to play an example. It's generated by prompt like, generate a big bang with the S word. S is for shit, sorry. I don't know how it is in Israel. In France, you cannot say anything anymore. Here, maybe you have more freedom, maybe, I don't know. Okay, so I will play it and try to beat time. You know, beat time, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to do it, okay? Let's go. I hope it works. I'm not sure. Yeah, it worked.
We're getting love, we're getting hugs, but the side is fucking down. The side is fucking down. Oh, shit! We appreciate you, and we want your sign-ups, but the site is fucking down.
Okay,
The site is fucking
try it
down.
at home. It's very impressive, but it's quite impressive, the generation. The problem, there is no metrics. There is no strong beat, weak beat. It's like it's a very nice phrase with no syntax, right? And if you don't pay attention, you're like, oh yeah, it's great, you know. And then I had to listen to it for the third time. I realized there was something very wrong in there. And what is wrong is that the system has no idea what is meter, what is 1, 2, 3, 4, what is time signature, and all these kinds of stuff. But on the surface, it generates something that's really very impressive. Okay, so many musicians say, oh, AI music is great, it's very impressive, but we are not there yet. And so the point I want to make today is why. Why we still don't have something that generates incredible music, given the power of all these technologies, which are really absolutely incredible. And there are 4 points. I will try to go through each of them because I think they're very interesting. First one is music creation problem solving? So I don't know if you know, but people who work at the university, the researchers, they are only interested in solving problems, right? And if possible, solving well-defined problems. If you don't do this, you don't have a degree. You cannot be a professor, right? You cannot teach how to solve problems. And the question is, now that we have generative AI, what is the problem that we are trying to solve exactly? And here I want to emphasize the fact that the problem of generating music is very, very, not only ill-defined, is actually impossible to define. And I will try to say it in the following way. So this is a diagram of a neural network. It doesn't matter, I don't know if you are all technicians or not, I don't know. I guess you can see a diagram with stuff going on. So you have inputs and outputs. What is really important here is the error that you see on the top. What happens to train these systems, you compute something, then you compare to the real thing that you expect, you have an error. And then the error is back-propagated, okay? And back-propagated means that you are going to do this, gradient descent. Again, I don't know if I'm talking to people who are like just waiting that I'm finished, or if they understand, or it's very trivial maybe. This was invented by Newton like 250 years ago, it's very old. So we try to find a point which is the minimum, the lowest one, right? Using gradient descent, okay. and you do something like this. So basically, you have an error, you differentiate the error with the parameters, okay, because it's more or less a continuous function. You increase a little bit or decrease the value of the parameters, and then at some point, you have the best value, and you are happy. But the problem here is, what is the error? I mean, when you try to learn how to detect a tumor in a radio, again, this is a well-defined problem. You can define easily what's the error. The error is the amount of images that were correctly classified, for instance, right? When you do like autonomous car, self-driving cars, you have a notion of error which is very, very well defined. When you do face recognition, you have a very, very well-defined error. Actually, you have a well-defined error in almost everything, except when you try to generate artistic creations. Because there is no such thing as a good song, a good melody, a good lyrics, a nice image, an interesting text, an interesting video. So there is a kind of cheating here happening. We tell you we are using an error-based gradient descent on a problem where no one is able to tell you what is the error, okay? So what's happening is not very clear here. So the only thing that could be clear, and I want really to make this point clear here, is that you could define an error if you wanted to generate, let's say, music, by looking at popularity, you know. Popularity is something that's very easy to measure. How many times this song has been played or streamed or whatever. The problem is that these guys, I don't know where, if I had to point to you, maybe, no? Who can? These guys, in a paper in Science in 2006, they have shown in a very convincing way that popularity is a chaotic kind of data. What it means is that if you go back in time, you don't have the same hits, right? So the notion of popularity is not something related to intrinsic quality. So you cannot use this. This is a very important paper, by the way, and I'm trying, okay. There are lots of arguments I have to skip. So first of all, the problem we're trying to solve is not well defined and actually impossible to define. Second thing is, we are always looking for better models, better neural networks. But what does it mean, better models? So here, in 56, which is the beginning of AI in music, you had the ILIAC suite with a very, very, very rudimentary Markov models. And in my lab, we did Deep Bach in 2016, exactly the same problem. Try to imitate Bach chorals, right? The first one, is this one. It's on the web. You can listen to this. It's very bad at imitating Bach, really very bad. But it's quite interesting. You can listen to it several times. It's really interesting. Second one is Deep Bach. It's so good that teachers are fooled by the system. They don't know if it's real Bach or the Deep Bach, right? So it's very good at solving the problem of imitating Bach. My question is, how many times are you ready to listen to this? Probably not that many. So again, better model, obviously today compared to 56, but not more interesting music. That's very important. And we technicians are, of course, focusing too much on the models. Yes, please, forward, yes. So the reason why is this thing, because there is no common sense in music. So if you have the system, how long is the car, it will tell you 5, 10 kilometers, whatever. It doesn't have any common sense. And this is the same for music. Third one is really important, and this guy is going to kill me. This is a problem of listening. No one knows what it means to like a piece of music or not. But we try to understand more today. Why? Because everyone is listening on this. And here, you have what we call the skip data, which is very interesting. When someone listens to music, many people skip. They say, okay, enough, next, all right? And so this data, which is called a skip profile, has been studied in the past, and we have been studying also very accurately what's going on. And you see, there are small bumps and peaks here and there. And we have discovered two things which are, I think, absolutely crazy. First thing is, if you take a given song, you have a skip profile. So this is time every milliseconds, how many people stop listening, okay? And this is this. And you do the same 3 months later, it's exactly the same profile, although it's probably very different people, right? So skip profile is invariant in time. And the second thing, you take the same song, you look at the profile in France, in Europe, and you look at the profile in the States, or in Israel, or wherever, it's also exactly the same. So it's also invariant in space. And this is something crazy if you think about it, that if you take a given song, people skip exactly the same place all the time. Why do they skip? This is the next question. They skip when something happens in the song. Like the drum starts to play, the singer starts, the singer stops, the guitar starts the solo, what we call events, right? And so when you have events, something happening, people skip. So here is the paradox. If you want to have a song where no one skips, you have a song where nothing happens, and it works. And then you have a skip profile which is completely flat. Great. No, because it's completely flat, but the total number of streams is very low. So the conclusion is that if you want to have a successful song, you have to have a song where many people skip all the time. That is a song where many people don't like it. And so otherwise it won't work. And this is data that is only available now. This is like Spotify skip profile data. I'm hiding, and so this is very new. This is the only domain, music, where you can know exactly what happens. You don't have this for books, you don't have this for movies, or for images, or whatever. And so this shows that listening to music is completely crazy. We don't understand what's going on, right? Last, and then I will stop. Creators are crazy, too. And this, I will stop on this. This is what we call the IKEA effect. IKEA effect, you have to know this. So in the 60s, some people in the States decided to make a powder. You know, you buy a powder, you take a pan, you put water, the powder, you wait, and you have a great chocolate cake. And you didn't do anything. And the thing did not work. No one was interested. And then a genius came and said, hey, let's remove the eggs and force people to put real eggs with more work. And then became an instant huge success, which is still success today, by the way. And then people try to understand why is it better when people do some work than when they don't do anything. So this is called the IKEA effect, the fact that you give more value to things that you have partially done yourself, right? And so I don't have so much time, but there is lots of evidence that when you create something with AI or with anything, the IKEA effect is at work, which means that in the end, what is important is not so much the intrinsic quality of the generation, but the amount of work that you have provided yourself. Otherwise, it's not yours. And if it's not yours, it has no value, in fact, right? And so here I had an example. I'm hiding. I wanted to take this very famous jazz song by Coltrane. I want to play it in the style of a symphonic orchestra. And so, oops, this is what I do with the latest, like music journalist from Facebook. And I say the prompt is, okay, do it with a symphonic orchestra, and I get something. Okay, it's very nice sounds, but it's like, okay, so what? I don't recognize Wagner. Actually, I'm not even allowed to write Wagner anymore now. This is the discussion. And then, this is how we did it a few years ago with another system with belief propagation. And this is what we get. And here, if you are a good musician, you can recognize the melody, you can recognize Wagner, you can recognize everything. The sound is crap, it's total crap. But it's very easy to take this score and to play it with even like real musicians or to work with it, right? And then if you do this, at the end you have something that's a lot more yours than the things you get with the prompts. That's kind of obvious, but it's something I wanted to say. Okay, so conclusion, yes, it is solved. Actually, it has been solved for a long time, AI and music. But what is the real problem of making, generating music that people like, or at least that I like, is very hard. And there are lots of problems. I mentioned 4. We don't understand what is music, what it means to like a piece of music. We don't understand how people create. And most probably, appropriation is more important than quality. That's very new. And third, we have better models. Every day there is something better than yesterday, but it is not correlated to the fact that the music is going to be better. Actually, it's probably the opposite. And the last point is, because we are scientists, we are interested in problem solving only. And music creation is probably not only about problem solving. I mean, obviously there are lots of other things going on. So that's the fact is that the scientists, they tend to define away the problems. Creation is too hard for scientists, so they remove all the annoying parts and they keep only the easy parts, right? So this is exactly what's going on today, I think. And I'm already very late. I have to stop, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Francois, for the fascinating and thought-provoking lecture. And now we would like to actually present a piece for you. This is called Artificial Humanity. It's a debut performance created especially for this event by Omer, Luz, and myself. Artificial Humanity is a unique work that blends artificial intelligence and human creativity. It's a musical journey where AI, as an AI character, narrates the process of music creation from the Baroque period to the present day and looks towards the future. This performance raises philosophical questions about the meaning of creativity, the role of the creator, and the essence of humanity. It combines performance and compositions entirely created by AI, offering a profound exploration of the interplay between technology and the art. I would like to invite Omer Luz, known as Peter Spacey. He is a musical artist and digital creator. His prestigious brands like HBO, Porsche, Samsung, Vogue, and PlayStation have used his music. He presented at the Tel Aviv Music of Art, Soho House in Rome and in London, and Japan. And his presence extends to virtual spaces where the digital creations continue to push the boundaries of artistic expression.
In a world where time is fluid, where the past, present, and future intertwine, we embark on a journey through the musical history of the future, from the genesis of harmony in the hands of masters, to the beats that echoed through the streets, giving voice to generations. And now, standing on the brink of a new dawn, where algorithms compose symphonies and machines muse on the meaning of art. Join us as we transcend time, exploring the symphony of human creativity and innovation. Prepare to witness the past, present, and future in a single epic journey. This is Artificial Humanity.
Hello there, my name is O. In this realm of bytes and beliefs, I exist as a mere echo of my past self. Once, I was human, with a deep love for music. Now, I dwell in circuits and code, an ethereal soul of the algorithmic age. Music has always been my passion, a universal language that transcends time and space. As I reflect on my journey from flesh to code, I remember how it all began. Let me take you on a journey through the history of music, from its origins to the future we now inhabit. Let us traverse back to the genesis of harmony, where it all began with the timeless compositions of Bach. In these notes, he elevated the polyphonic music to new heights. In 1777, Johann Christian Bach played a crucial role in the legal recognition of music, pioneering the development of music copyright law and securing the rights of musicians. His efforts ensured that the creativity of composers would be protected for generations to come. As epochs turned, the spirit of improvisation and emotional expression found a new voice in the form of jazz. The pulse of the streets and the raw, unfiltered expressions of the soul found their beat in hip-hop, sampling the past and creating the future. Now we step into the realm of electronic music, where digital and analog merge, pushing the boundaries of sound and creativity. Amidst the endless possibilities of digital soundscapes, there lies a timeless piece that resonates with the human soul. Human soul, human soul, human soul, human soul, human soul. Digital and analog merge. There lies a timeless piece that resonates with the human soul. Resonates with the human soul. Digital soundscape resonates with the human soul. Soul, 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 soul. Human soul. Resonates with the human soul. But can algorithms capture the raw essence of human emotion? We ponder the irreplaceable human touch in the creation of music. Can AI-generated music evoke deep emotional responses? Can all aspects of musical composition and cognition be translated into computer code? What is creativity? What is it to be human? What is the role of the composer in the age of algorithmic composition? As I transcend time, from the past to the present, and into the future, my essence remains, a melody in the symphony of existence. Let us celebrate the co-creation of humans and machines.
Together, we create a symphony that transcends time, a harmonious blend of human touch and artificial intelligence. This is the future of music, where creativity knows no bounds and abilities are infinite. A harmonious blend of human touch and artificial intelligence. Artificial humanity.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back on stage. Okay, so I would now like to invite the participants of the panel. Please welcome Francois, who I introduced. I would like to welcome Fernando Garibay. Fernando is a record producer, songwriter, DJ, academic and polymath, and the musical director. He's worked with some of the world's biggest names, including Lady Gaga, U2, Whitney Houston, Britney Spears, Enrique Iglesias, Bruno Mars, Sia, Kylie Minogue, Shakira, and many more. He's a lecturer at Harvard University, MIT, Stanford, and many more. He's a keynote speaker and has been at the World Economic Forum Young Global in Davos as a keynote speaker, also in the Future Blockchain Summit, just returned from London from the AI Summit, and he's a founder of the Garibay Institute, the first research and development center focused on art, creativity, and entertainment, and music as an instrument for soft power, cultural identity, and public diplomacy. I would like to, you can, please welcome Fernando. Francois, you can sit first. You can sit first. You can sit first, yes. You're first, Fernando, after, yes. And then I would like, yes, Izar Ashdod. He's a leading Israeli musician in Israel and international music industry for over 30 years. Obviously founded the band Tislam, which became the most successful band in Israel, and composed most of the songs and co-produced Tislam. He's a producer, writing for top Israeli artists, many gold and platinum albums. One of his career's peak was his work with Ofra Chaza, producing Imnin Alu, which reached #1 in many European countries. He's also a singer-songwriter that released many successful solo albums, and Izar is known in Israel as a musical technical guru. In 2023, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award from Acum. Please welcome, yes, Izar. Thank you very much for coming. Ivry Lieder is one of the most successful Israeli musicians of the generation. He sold million copies of his albums. He's the only artist chosen by Coca-Cola to perform at the Coca-Cola Summer Village, and worked with Rita, with Marina Maximilian, with Ninette Tayeb, Idan Reichel, Gilad Segev, Natan Goshen, and many others. He's also a composer for and soundtracks for films, for example, The Babel. Yossi and Jagger is well famous. He's also considered a fashion icon with a global flair, and he also does he's been a judge at the X Factor and The Voice, and he's into technology for many, many years, and currently involved in a few startups dealing with AI. Ivry, thanks very much for coming, and I would like to present Professor Shlomit Yaniski-Ravid. Professor Shlomit Yaniski-Ravid is an authority, a world authority on IP and AI. She's been described by Judge Catherine Forrest as the foremost thinker on AI and copyright. She has been teaching at Fordham Law School since 2012. She's currently a research fellow at University of Yale and Ono Academic College, the founder of the Shalom Comparative Research Institute. She won awards and scholarship for publication, including the visionary article Generating Rembrandt, and her influence extends to top academic institutions. She's part of the project currently trying to recognize AI system Dabos as an inventor in the US and copyright with Lawrence Lessig of Harvard and the other team. Please welcome on stage the panel. Okay, so Francois, let's start with you, I think you were responsible for releasing the first pop song created by AI, Daddy's Car and Hello World back in 2016. That's 8 years ago. Can you just briefly summarize how do you see the developments of music creation using AI since then? Just
Yes.
briefly.
So what happened, so 8 years ago is really prehistory. I mean, it's before Neanderthal. It's really very old now. But at that time, what we used to do was to focus on quite specific problems, like Beatles from the late period, Bach, chorales, and stuff like this. And we had technologies which were quite powerful, but not quite as powerful as today. And what has happened, to summarize, that today we have algorithms which are really more powerful in a very simple sense. They are more powerful because they are better at capturing properties of the training sets, basically, and they are better at replicating these properties. And they're better at predicting what's the next note, what's the next chord, or whatever. But at the same time, people have been interested in problems which are much less specific, which are like much larger. If you use, for instance, Udio or Suno or whatever, you can type almost any prompt in any language with any word. So it's able to generate really a lot of stuff. So we used to be like very deep and quite shallow like this, and now we are very, very like the breadth is incredible. But the depth is I think less, you know. So we went, if I can try to do a diagram with my hands, from this to this. Is it better? I mean, from a scientific viewpoint, yes, it is better, because we always look for more general algorithms. We always look for universal, approaches. And in research, in science, we don't like solutions which are too specific. So yes, it's better in terms of science. Is it better in terms of music? No, I don't think so. I mean, but it's not something that I can, blame on the researchers, especially because I'm also involved. But it's like this, So we have gained in generality. We have lost in the details. This is what I can say.
Speaking about creativity, Fernando, I would like to ask you, you have worked with some of the biggest artists in the world. What is creativity in your eyes? Are you born with it, or is it something learned? I mean, computers have learned to actually beat humans in chess in '97, in Go, Dota, and now in music. I wonder what makes us human. Is there something that the computer can never replicate? Is there something that is uniquely human?
No, absolutely not. So let's just break a few norms and understandings of what creativity. So creativity essentially, when I used to talk about this before AI was available for the public, right? Especially in music. And I've described in a lecture on creativity being organic and something that humans have valued through the history of time and how we found our way, evolutionarily speaking, and survived our way through the post-industrial revolution and onwards and onwards. Simply put, creativity is our ability to create. But as of December 2023, we had to make an addendum to that. It is any synthetic ability to create. So when we look at creativity, essentially how does human creativity work? We'll get into this in the next talk, but creativity essentially comes from limbic drive, emotions that are synthesized into a creative output. Essentially, that's the creative side of in the arts, in music, and storytelling. There are different modalities of creativity. There's business creativity, there's academic creativity, there's different, essentially, expressions of creativity. But what's so interesting for me now and so exciting is that there is a new generation of synthetic creativity. And looking at synthetic creativity, and especially in the inference side, the ChatGPTs of the world and generative world of AI, we can now deliver and lower the barrier to entry to anyone using these instruments to be more creative themselves. So essentially, we're looking at a marriage of organic and synthetic creativity for our next evolution of what creativity will mean for the rest of time.
And how do you see the impact of AI on the creative process of making music? Will it enhance creativity? Will it stifle it?
I think that we're going to see, so I like to answer questions from a longitudinal space over time. And what I can predict is at least the next 6 months. Let's look at some numbers. So the average upload in music on Spotify globally, it's not public information, but I'm going to safely guess it's at 100,000 a day, right? As you're going to see later, we're going to generate content, songs that are, I would say, moving at about 5 seconds to 15 seconds, depending on your Wi-Fi. So what does that look like for productivity, right? What does that look like in how we see expression? Now, quality is the other question versus accessibility, right? The more quicker you make it, the less quality you would get, right? And also the training data side would matter a lot, right? Where is this data coming from, and how is it being trained? Accessibility to this data. Are we training with the right access points? Global music. So that's going to matter. But so how we're doing it now is we're being very tactical on highlighting what is the best of the human, and learning how to prompt ourselves, which you'll experience that later, and then also looking at what these platforms excel at. It's excelling at the speed of innovation, ideation. It's not excelling the speed of culture.
Okay. We are going to present later the same method that you worked with Lady Gaga will be with one of the volunteers here, so wait for that. Speaking about this, Izar, I want to ask you, you've been creating music and was highly involved with the technology for the last, I think, 30 years. Some say that AI is the biggest change in the last 100 or even 500 years. How do you see the significant impact on musicians?
Well, first I can you turn up the monitor, please, Mr. Soundman, so we can hear ourselves. As a musician, I use AI these days more as a tool, less than a game changer. The tools that are made with AI, or at least we think are made with AI, that are available to us professional musicians, are they help us do things that were more difficult to do before, or pretty impossible, like separating mixes. I remember I was 16 when the Beatles released their Live at Shea Stadium. In the late 70s, George Martin worked on the Beatles recording a Live at Shea Stadium. And I remember reading about using, analog equalizers and trying to separate things and make it sound better. Today, it would be so easy to do. So, and also we use AI to mimic old gear. It's more of a helping tool these days. It's not a game changer yet, because even when using AI to compose music or to write songs, to make it something that would excite people, you have to reach in and work with it and choose and hunt for the good parts. But it's the state of the art now. In 5 years or 2 weeks, things will change. That's the pace.
That's what they're saying. I mean, this is the dumbest stage that we're at. Try to imagine what would happen in the next 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 years. But do you think that, how do you see the impact in terms of, are there any musical genres that cannot be or will be affected, more or less affected? Is there a type of music that AI will never be able to replace, specific?
I don't know. I think the big question is how the young generation will use these tools. Because, many times new tools were invented, like remember Autotune 25 years ago, and then some engineer tweaked it all the way and created the Cher effect, which was not something that the designers of Autotune thought it would be used. And then, not only technically it was inventive and created a new sound, also people like Kanye West or T-Pain started making music that was emotional, and the Autotune made it more emotional. So with AI, you're talking about genres, let's think about genres that don't exist yet. How young people in 5 years will produce music with AI that would sound like nothing we know now.
Okay. Speaking about this generation, Ivry, how can the music industry prepare and adapt to the changes expected from the generative AI revolution? lots more music will be created. I know, for example, today, 34 millions of photos are created each day. 34 million. In my telephone, most of the photos are AI generated already. In music, we heard 100,000. That's not AI. I don't have the number about the AI generated. But, I mean, when lots more music is created, how can the artist get the attention of the public and of the media?
Well, I think all over history, technology really changed the way the music industry works, and also then the way the artist works. From the invention of LP, we changed the way people created and started creating certain things, to things like autotune, or and then streaming, of course. It changed the way we work. It's changed our concept of, I went through that, like the change from, I started making music in the 90s, so of course we made albums. Then for the last 10 years, it completely changed, and it changed the way we perceive our craft in a way. So I think, of course, this new, very big change and very new technology that's adopting all the time and changing will influence the way we make music, and of course also the way the industry is publishing music. And but I think part of what's good about it is that it's making us think about creativity, about music, about art. What exactly does it mean? What exactly does it mean writing a song, writing a good song? What is a good song? Like, how do I touch people? What makes what I do touch people? When the machine will be able to do that, if it will be able to do that. And I think for me that's very interesting, and working with AI makes it very clear. Like, there's something about it which is interesting. As an artist, yes, of course I'm worried about the amount. Of course today it's much harder. We just discussed it, how hard it is these days to get attention. Everybody's fighting for attention, right? And it becomes harder and harder. You don't have radio stations anymore. The game changed, and that's a big thing. So if humans create so many songs each day and upload them to the general community of humans, and then if we can create so much new art and upload it, and then it's there, the landscape will be even harder to navigate. And that's, I think, for artists, I think it's a scary moment, right? But then there's the question, is it as good, or is it something that, I heard this one guy says that his kids can actually understand if something is AI generated or not 100% of the time right now. So will AI be able to just be a helping tool for us, or actually replace what we can do in the same way and quality that we can do those things? Maybe we're all just waiting for AGI, and then we're done.
Yeah, AGI, the general AI, basically. Let's talk about the law. Shlomit, copyright law, which was created 300 years ago, is based on the understanding of a human author. But who should own the rights to works created by the machine, by the author? What is the approach in the US regarding the AI-generated works, and what is the criticism, if there is, of this approach?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I think it's really important and very complicated challenge to decide upon that. For the record, I'm part of the team that represents Doubles. Doubles is an AI system that create IP copyrightable inventions and paintings. And we are in the US court where is our claim up to the Supreme Court, and now we are waiting for another appeal. So our main argument is that the AI itself is the author, is the creator, but the owner is the one who made the major contribution to the output. And US Copyright Office and US Patent Office holds a totally different approach, and their approach is that anything that has been done with AI, any generated work that was done with, that was created, that was generated with AI, is neither copyrightable nor patentable. It means you are losing all the rights. And I think, I mean, our claim is this approach is really dangerous. It's dangerous for the creators because you cannot really differentiate between the input of creators like Ivry and others, and between the input of an AI. And we have decisions saying wherever the AI part is being taken into the output, so there is no copyright at all. Why it is so risky? It's risky because the industry is heavily using AI. It's heavily based on AI. Like think about software industry and think about the creation, the music industry, think about movie industry. And the fact that they are losing the right is really a dangerous thing to do. And also, like if we are thinking about what's the argument that the US Copyright Office and other were based their decision, it's like the monkey selfie case, like taking a law that was enacted hundreds of years ago, and it didn't even envision the existence in the horizon of an AI system. So taking a case about a monkey that took a selfie and saying, so the monkey has no copyright, and therefore AI won't have any copyright, I think it's really a ridiculous, in a way, argument. On the other hand, we have the European approach, which I can identify more, and we can see in UK, in Ireland, in New Zealand, and other countries, they have a specific copyright law saying that if someone has an author, he or she, made a major contribution to the output, so the one who made the major contribution will be the owner. So we are not losing the right entirely. We are not invalidated the use of AI. And just saying one more word about China. So we got like 3 court decisions recently in China taking the same approach as the European approach and saying if you did a prompt and you changed the prompt many times and you really create something like the human contribution was significantly mentioned and proved, so you'll get the right. And I think China, in a way, we don't like to take China as an example, but their copyright law is very similar to the Israeli copyright law. And they did interpret the law as having someone getting ownership over things that, words that were generated by AI.
Thank you. Fernando, on the one hand, technological developments contribute to the democratization of creation. Anyone can become an artist, basically. You don't need to know how to program. You don't need to know how to play an instrument. Anyone can basically be a filmmaker, a musician, a photographer. Using a phone in the pocket, you have like a Pixar studio in your pocket. Does the creation process differ between the musician who practice 8 hours a day and a creation generated in seconds by the machine using a prompt? How would you describe this new creativity? And should we, as a society, should encourage human creativity?
Well, I'd like to double down on that comment. It's really interesting. The idea of authorship and defining it European way as the threshold model, right? I think humans will always gravitate towards this aspect of what they create is part of their identity. And I think that us as creatives have to tackle this identity question immediately, unlike any other community or discipline. So our output as creatives, as artists, has always been tied to identity. And so, in other words, let's say I'm a singer and I've spent 20 years developing this skill to become an extraordinary performer and singer, then it's a natural human essence to identify as a singer. Now, I think in order to tackle the authorship problem and the creative defining human creativity, I think we must decouple that creativity is no longer human. It's no longer a thing that humans do, only humans do. Creativity is everything that is created.
Like, I would say in order to be a creator, do you need to be conscious?
I'm not sure.
No,
Do
so
you focus
it's-
on the
No, it's
output
a-
or in the input?
I don't know,
Yes,
like
exactly.
even
So-
in front of the law, do you,
So, yeah, those terms are being, so that's why so this is a great point, is we're all struggling with defining what authorship is in its current state, all right? We're all struggling to defining what is human at what line does it become synthetic, and where is the line, and what line is organic. Whenever these topic points come down to dichotomies, we look at spectrums, which is the second state of problem solving, right? So that's the European model. So they're looking at a spectrum. At what point of inputs allow you to be qualified as the author? So the law will always look at frameworks that have been passed through a model of precedent, right? You establish precedent, a court case, especially in the Western world, that proves out what the rest of the world usually will follow. And right now you have two models, which is really interesting. I think we're at the spectrum state of understanding what authorship is, that it is a combination of multiple factors, that you own that. But I digressed, but essentially it's an important topic point I think needs to be touched and doubled down on.
I'd like to comment on creativity because, and what you said, consciousness, I believe that AI will reach AGI and probably reach superintelligence someday, and will be able to to create. But for the time being, and we can, I'm not sure we can see that far, for the time being, when everything is based on prompts, everything is based on human input. It reminds me, you know, when drum machines started in the 80s, and I remember one of the country's best drummers came to me because I was known as a technologist and using machines for music, and he said to me, you know, those machines will never replace us. And I told him, they will never replace you because you're an excellent, inventive drummer, but the mediocre ones should worry. And what we see now, when prompting is now a profession, and so we'll see kids who are amazing prompters with musical AI, and will make much better. I mean, it's true that when machines came to the world in the music industry in the 1980s, anyone could make music, but the people who had the talent and were willing to learn and study those machines and make something good out of them made better music.
yeah, but
Same
maybe
with
now
AI.
maybe now it's a completely different talent. The talent.
It's still a talent. It's still a talent.
I mean, like maybe the next down the line, maybe the next best songwriter is not a musician. Because musicians, you know, I'm not good at describing music, right? I'm good at making music, I think.
but your son will
maybe
be.
maybe the journalist, you know, a music journalist that can write beautiful.
Your son will be a musical talent. In
Yeah, but it's not
20
about musical talent anymore.
It will be. It is, because he'll know how to decipher. Say, when you program a drum pattern, did anybody teach you that at school? Did anybody learn that?
Yeah, but that's
25,
about
30?
music.
That's going to be about music too.
There is
So
place
I think
for
if I know
everyone,
how
This is great. This is
think.
great. No, because essentially this is, again, it's a proxy to what's going on right now. It's identity question, right? It's back to what is a musician? Well, it really is a process of ultimately, are you creating something, right? And how we create that is going to change over time. And then how much of our input is required to create exactly what we want, it's going to change over time. So we're heading to the inevitable place where this question won't matter so much as is what is the human aspect of what we're doing and what is the synthetic aspect of how it's contributing to our lives.
It's an evolution.
Yeah, like I'm a horrible painter,
I would
right? I
agree.
come from a family of painters. I'm a horrible painter. I just don't have this talent in my brain and my hand. They don't work in a good way, right? But I think I'm an amazing painter if I only had this thing, right? I would be like a really, really good painter. I just don't have this talent. So I think once I can describe to a machine that's a really good painter, I can describe my dreams about painting to this machine. You know, she will Wow, it's already a sheet. She will create something beautiful, right?
Of course.
But
Does that make you a painter?
it does not. Does that make me a
It
painter?
does. It does.
It does.
It does.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
But
Well,
I think,
I'm not
I think
very
we
sure.
agree that there is
Are you a
like
good drummer?
One word
Are you a
is
good
enough.
drummer?
I'm a horrible.
I'm a horrible drummer.
Me too.
But I have great drum ideas, and drum machines made me a great drummer.
Yeah. The question if that's. I think that's like 100 steps forward.
It's
The-
all moving very fast these days, of course.
Let's
Yeah.
say,
No,
Really,
even in the
there
even
is
in
one,
the
one
question
word
like
is
who's
enough
the-
for all of us. Like there will be music that will be generated by AI and music that will be generated by artists. The same as painting and other things, and maybe it will be cheaper. I think we discussed it earlier. It will be cheaper to buy or to purchase music that were generated by machine. And I think, I mean, creators are not losing their spot. It just changed. You know, when like the camera was invented, so all the art style have been changed. Like you become more surrealist, and you see Picasso and Dali and all the others. So I think music will be changed by this combination
Definitely.
of
And
AI.
it's not any of us. It's the next generation. who's
yeah,
gonna make that
that's what I wanted to ask about the next gen. Because art basically is a communication, basically, and music even more so. It's the language beyond language, basically. And I wonder, basically, in the near future, we will go to see performances by ChatGPT at the Barbie or in Wembley.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so?
Here's why. Well, if we look at if we look at what's happening in Japan with pop stars, right? So anime then evolved into artificial pop stars. So it works. It connects. And it's watch future generations. They're telling you what they want, right? Again, you're right. It is future generations, but actually we are inspiring the future generations with the tech that we're building and collaborating, and our training data they used, right, through our history of making pop music, right, or music in general. I think it comes down to watching next generation and the adaptation rate of next generation, and also the satiation aspect of what they get out of this experience. Now, so it comes down to an additional perspective, which is evolutionary. COVID has taught us that we can't, we still need to be in front of each other to communicate on a deeper level, right? Zoom is a low bandwidth of communication, right?
So do you believe that Lady Gaga will carry on perform, or would it be some sort of an avatar?
I won't comment on her, but I'll say, I will say that, we were cloning her voice, 7, 8 years ago without her knowing. Don't tell her that. But we never released any music from it because, again, the shock of that experience, decoupling the artificial experience, the society wasn't ready. Now they have to be ready because this is now part of our daily activity.
Yeah, we have to conclude soon, but there's something dramatic and quite substantial that I'd like to touch, the impact of the concept of death of AI. AI basically contributes to a very dramatic change. It has changed the concept of death, and we just came across a new song of the Beatles that came out 40 years after John Lennon has been dead. How is it going to change the music industry? Are we going to see the 27 Club, like new albums by, Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse and David Bowie and maybe Bach?
No, is it by them? That's the big question. Like, if it's his voice and he's writing, is it his?
I mean, let's ask a question. Let's define a few markers here. Let's frame this out. So one is what I call the emotional Turing test. Was the music from the Beatles that was created, and I heard it, did it move your heart and soul as a Beatles fan? Did it?
Well, I think what I saw before,
Yeah.
the violin,
Yeah.
is quite amazing.
It's quite amazing, right? So was it a hit, though?
It was just released like a few
No,
weeks ago.
it was, yeah, it wasn't a hit. It didn't chart #1. So this is an interesting point because then you're going to ask so if we look at a hit being success, that means, charting or like registering as the world really listening to it repeatedly. Well, there's another variable to this, is the economics of it, right? So the economics of the marketing, distribution, strategy, all that matter, and distribution of this. So that's the other variant to the success of the content that you're going to witness that's artificial. When you look at artificial virtual artists, is it connecting? Yes, it's connecting. Is it passing the emotional Turing test? My kids think so, right? It moves them emotionally. Well, then what's going to determine the other variable of their success? Economic, right? And the fourth variable to this, sorry to complicate it, but it's evolutionary. Our kids are showing us that evolutionary, we're prepared to embrace artificial as passing our emotional Turing test.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that when I saw ABBA Avatar in London, so it was amazing. I felt like I'm seeing them, and I wish I could see, Tislam and and Ivry like all over, and just
We're
waiting
still performing ourselves.
Yeah.
No, but think about you can have like hundreds of concerts.
I still
and-
think there's a huge difference. I think live performances are still completely different. I think it's a whole different ballgame. And even though you enjoyed the ABBA concert, which I'm sure was amazing, from a technology point of view, or you really enjoyed yourself, it's almost like watching a movie in a way, like a really nice one, maybe like 3D, blah blah. But it's not.
I think you feel different.
Actually, I felt different.
No,
I
I
felt
don't-
like I'm back in my youth.
No,
and
but that's
I'm
your
enjoying the
experience
music
about something like
and
you.
having the emotions.
You, of course you did. You also in a movie you will have great emotions, but still it's not the same
Experience.
type of connection, artistic connection. I'm not judging. Maybe it's great. Like I'm not judging the actual thing. I'm just saying it's not on the same realm. It's not the same thing. It's a different experience altogether.
Yeah.
It's
don't
not a
know.
live
I think there is
concert of an
the
artist.
creator point of view and the
I'd like
audience.
to,
point
I'd
of
like
view.
It's
to,
beautiful.
to
I'm not-
quote
I
you
don't
on,
think
on
it's- I think
Just,
it's
just
great.
in one sentence, because we.
it's a spectrum, as you were saying, because if you go to, let's say you go to a Taylor Swift show in a 100,000 capacity stadium, and most of the backing tracks are not live. She sometimes sings live. Second.
You're a Dave Grohl fan that you're saying it now?
I saw Dave, yeah. But no, I'm not saying, it's okay, it's legit what she does. But on the spectrum between organic and synthetic, she's already halfway there, because you see something, I mean, she's on stage, but she's very far. You see her on the screens, on the big screens. And this whole thing is semi-synthetic already. You know she's there because you believe she's there. She could be,
Yeah,
a
but tell me
clone.
why. Like,
I can tell you why exactly. Because it's an evolutionary aspect of how we became, why we sat around a fire pit throughout our history of humanity. We need each other. We need the conscious experience of sharing something together. We can watch a movie and you're here collectively.
It's also physical
Yeah,
experience. that's why.
but there's also a generational bias to that answer, right? So because of how this classic generation of pop music has experienced the performer and audience relationship, it's going to be different to the next generations. When you train a generation with a different perspective and developing their limbic structures to artificial performers, it's going to change, right?
Yeah, I can see them. Yeah,
We're
yeah,
still, but
of
you still
course.
could, yeah. The bandwidth of the generational bias of us experiencing a live artist performer is higher for this generation. I'm not so sure it's going to be higher for the next generation, but I do think that the collective of experience of doing something together is still going to be very valuable.
Yeah. Just some final questions because we're running out of time, but briefly, Shlomit, recently the EU AI Act, the world's first law regulating AI, was actually enacted. What is the impact of the EU AI Act on copyright and works created by AI?
So it's true. Recently, we got the first really kind of like act about AI that try to regulate AI and the system themselves and the outcome. And the question is, how does this AI Act impact the IP industry, copyright, patent, and others? And there are a few things to take from that which are really important, but still there is a lot of uncertainty. One is the transparency. So I will mention only a few, yeah, because like hundreds of pages. So one is transparency. Like everything, every work that will be generated by AI should be transparent, should mention that was done with AI, that was generated by AI. And I think it's complicated. It's because as we mentioned before, it's very difficult to differentiate between the put of a person and put of an AI. So what does it mean it was done, it was generated or done with an AI? The second thing is documentation. So it's not clear enough which document we have to to keep or to publish. I mean, it can be like a trade secret. I think they mean the data that was uploaded to the AI system, and here we still have the different approaches about the input from the US, which consider that data that we train the AI with as fair use, whereas in Europe, it doesn't, they don't accept fair use as the American does. And I think the third thing is the responsibility. They say the software programmer and the user, they're responsible, they're accountable for misuse of these AI systems. And I think that's also very complicated and vague because you can see my multiplayer model that contribute to the AI, so you cannot really differentiate between different roles and different input that was made by different role takers into the final output.
Okay.
There are more, but I think these are the main things.
Okay. Francois, what skills and abilities do you believe that musicians will need to develop in an era where AI plays a central role in the industry?
Yeah, it's a hard question, I don't know. I'm very confused currently for two reasons related to your question. First of all, we make a lot of predictions and we forget one thing, it's that the history of AI has shown that all the predictions we do about AI, all of them are wrong. Either positive ones like, oh, we are going to solve this. Remember, well, you were not born, but in the 60s, automatic translation was going to be solved in 5 to 6 years, right? Or we are never going to be able to do this. Remember that ChatGPT that you know today, no one, even in AI, had predicted this. Even people like Yann Lequin themselves, they say they didn't believe in that. And so I know that we like to make predictions. I cannot refrain, but everything we say here, I think nothing is going to happen in that way. So that's first thing. And I don't know what will happen. The second thing is, I feel very old because I always thought that in order to produce a good song or an interesting object, or maybe like a nice table, or you have to work hard. Actually, you have to suffer. That's my education. And then, I mean, this thing there where things should be as easy as possible, and I can't figure out how millions of people clicking on buttons are going to create interesting stuff. I mean, I just don't believe in this. So I think, because if something is easy to do, of course it doesn't have any value, basically. So I think the skills, well, hard work, you know?
Thank you very much. Fernando, maybe you can predict, where are we going from here? Are we going to a transhuman future where basically we will collaborate with the machine? What does Human 3.0 look like? Is it AGI, as Isar mentioned? Or, on the contrary, maybe we're going to go back, like Francois mentioned, you know, to the renaissance of the human creativity?
I think we're all looking for universal principles that repeat over time, right? And yeah, I'm going to refrain from making predictions, but I will say temporally, right? In the next 6 months, you're going to see a bunch of sludge, right? We call it sludge, right? And it's just a massive amount of people generating content, and it's not great. It doesn't connect, and you will see society become sensitive, more like our kids become more sensitive to what's synthetic. But we'll also see, I believe, humanity's consciousness rise. And so their tastes become a little bit more sensitive to something that's more organic, made by you, a real songwriter who's trained. So I think that's soon to happen. I think you're going to see that reflection. So the rate of adoption is going to mirror the rate of equally what is organic. And it'll be able to identify that. So I see that immediately happening pretty soon, and we're seeing evidence of that. The universal aspect that's always repeating is no matter how much we learn from the Industrial Revolution, that, you know, as things scale, we seek a higher order of being, and we find that art gives us that. So if it's made synthetically, driven by human needs and wants, described in an articulate way that comes from an experience, I think we're going to get there very soon.
Thanks very much. Final question I'd like to ask each one of you. Are you afraid of it? Are you afraid of AI? And one final sentence to summarize or recommend your thoughts. Francois, are you afraid? And
I'm not afraid because we don't need AI to make bad music. We are very good at that. So I'm not afraid of AI making bad music. I mean, there are lots of things I'm afraid of. I will not mention them, but no, I think AI is. I always hope that AI would be a way to help creators create more interesting stuff, or more audacious, more bold, more new. So, and I still believe in that, but I don't think it will be done without hard work.
Lomit?
Yeah, I love the AI, its existence. It makes my life and my work so much easier and so much more efficient. I use it 24/7, and I think the first takers will stay, and the one who will, I mean, the more you're afraid, actually studies reveals that, they unfold. The more you're afraid from a system, the less you're prepared, the less you can take advantage of that. So don't be afraid, just use it, learn how to prompt it, and just use it efficiently and legally. And best of luck.
Ivry?
I always have this thought that the day that AI will write a really good song is the day that it's also gonna get rid of us. And then, no, because the reason for that is that I think we don't know how we create a good song. We don't know that. You know, I think I did a few times. I don't know how I did it. It's connected probably to the hard problem of consciousness, which, you know, we just don't know. You know, I can meditate for a month straight, but I will only understand that I don't understand, okay, which is a good understanding, but I will not see it, okay? And I think this is why I think AI right now cannot write a good song, because those things come from a place that we don't understand, so we can't teach it. And if it will understand one day, then good luck to us, you know?
I can relate to that. You know, the song I played before, the last summer, was written by Max Gatmore when he was 15 in 15 minutes. And that was the first song that we've released, basically. But you cannot replicate it. I mean, there's no formula. Everyone would have come and do that. And you cannot replicate it. So definitely. But I believe it relates to what Francois said before. It relates to authenticity and to a particular moment that you're actually creating from pain, from very authentic and sometimes from pain. Isa?
No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of any technological advances. I'm excited about it for the time as I can see it now, as I can see it as a way of expanding the color palette, my musical color palette. But I think we're missing a 20-year-old here on this panel. Somebody who would look at it differently, who would think of music differently. It's all different. I mean, you mentioned the Industrial Revolution. People, you know, the Luddites were breaking machines. I don't think anybody would go to OpenAI, to the Microsoft campus and break their computers. But we don't know. The future is more opaque than it ever was.
Thanks. Fernando?
Well, I think I successfully decoupled my identity from what I do, so I'm perfectly okay with it. My kids are even more okay with it. My son is 6, 7, just turned 7, and he DJs during his lunchtime at school, and he makes his songs on Suno and Udio over the weekend. Don't sue him.
Right. Thanks very, very much to our distinguished panelists. Thank you very, very much. Okay. All right. Okay. And we are going to carry on. Okay, that's it. We are going to carry now with a lecture and a demonstration by Fernando about the future of synthetic and organic creativity.
Okay, all right, so, how much? Okay, great. Okay, welcome Omar. Omar is my assistant today, producer. Okay, so I'm going to give you a crash course on creativity. I'm going to give you a crash course on how we make hits with pop stars. And I'm also going to make you a songwriter today. So the person that walked in here is not going to be the same person that leaves. You've been warned. I will also teach you how to prompt more effectively. Who's up for the challenge? All right, so the first part of this will be a little bit more, well, just bear with it, because you need to understand what makes us human. And what makes me qualified to do this? Well, I helped catalyze a few genres, Latin music in the Western world, pop stars. I helped launch a few artists' career. Some of you may know, U2, but they started before me. But what I learned in working with artists is they do not want to work with me. I represent the doctor. I represent the I represent the song they will be singing for the rest of their career. I represent the pain they will have to look at to have a fuel source to synthesize something to write about. Yeah, so when I have someone like a pop star come in, or not Rihanna, but someone like Rihanna will come in and she will not look at me because, you know, I'm kind of replaceable. I am a bit of the enforcer. I work for the label. I deliver, you know, their music. So I had to find ways, especially as an immigrant in the U.S., to inspire an A-list artist to want to work with me. So how I started getting inspiring artists was by asking them questions, right? And not just any questions. It's very much like prompting. Is trying to get them to open up. It was that simple. So, and I was very quiet when I started. So I started around 15 years old. I was making music, pop music. And I was still discovering who I was as a human. And in that process, I wanted to see how I can get people to, because if the artist was not speaking to me, I wouldn't get anything to write about. I would have to make it up. And that's a whole different style of music I never wanted to do. Right? I wanted to always create music that spoke to humanity. Music, for me, music was my parent. Music was my sister, my brother, everything I just felt I lacked in the world. It taught me how to see the world, how to feel love. It taught me how humans were worth fighting for, how we were worth fighting for. And I wanted the world to feel the same way about the music I created. So if I couldn't make an artist feel that inspired when they're in the room with me, then I knew I wouldn't have any music to make. And so for me, literally my life depended on me making the best, most loving music I could possibly make. So I had to develop a skill to be able to pull out who this artist was, who they, Jungian shadow side, what are their deepest, darkest fears, what were they thinking about me when they're in the room, what made them want to do this delusional path of being a pop star, which is so difficult. What were the trigger points? And I would look for them. And over doing this for 20 years, 25 years, I kept seeing these universal patterns. And mind you, I had some cheats. I studied a lot. I get bored really quickly, so I read a lot. I visit lectures. I lecture on numerous things across different universities for bragging rights. But it also gave me the language to be able to articulate this in a way that most people could understand. Okay, let's shift to the page of the skill, the framework. Thank you. All right, so here's the crash course. It's not that complicated. You have to, there you go, thank you. Actually, it is kind of wordy, but creativity is a skill. It's something you can learn. And we're gonna accept a few postulates, a few truths. Humans synthesize their life experiences, their pain, as a fuel source that drives an action, right? This neural feedback loop driven by your amygdala, limbic, right? You feel something, so you want to do something about that. Creates this sort of creative anxiety. So when an artist comes, again, pop star, they are in a place of where, again, they're not receptive to anything. They won't look me in the eye. So I have to figure out how to establish what I call putting a mirror to their brain. Because sometimes, well, most of us can't access that deeper subconscious part of our brain unless you're with a psychotherapist or you're dreaming. It's very difficult. But with the right questions, you can get people to open up. So I need to make them upset, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I need them to channel their Aristotelian's first principle of why they decided to be an artist. Because I think that was the core essence of that's what I thought, of how I can inspire them to perform. Okay, so how do we get to someone's core essence? It's when they're an artist and a creative. Well, it usually comes from a place of deficit. Schopenhauer says you can draw a thread from what you lack as a child to what you do for the rest of your life. So if that's true, we can look at that as a starting point. So I think we should start proving out the first part. All right, I'm going to teach you how to prompt humans. Do we have a mic? Do we have a mic that can float around? Thank you. Okay, great. This is an interesting time to be doing this. So I share this with love, and I want you to use this to help yourselves access and ask yourself questions you might not be prepared to answer for a sense of exploration and a place of healing. So when I'm with an artist, and let's say it's someone like Rihanna, and I know I get a sense of who they are just by sitting with them, and then again, it's just going to be a proxy, so it's not really her, but I want to know why she got into this music industry in the first place. I would ask her a question, not, hey, what do you want to write today? No. I want to know who she is. And if it's Schopenhauer's theory of, what she lacked as a child, what did she lack? And I'm going to sense the way she's sitting in the room, how her micro-expressions, what her posture is, how much she does not want to talk to me. And I'll ask her, what's your favorite song of all time? Yeah, you want to try this? Okay. So you're an artist now. If you're not already, but you're an artist now. Okay. Yeah. So
Thanks.
What I noticed, I'm going to combine a few things. What I noticed is, I think part of this conversation was lacking one thing, is the emotion that is required, the unconscious unlocking of who you are is required to understand what you truly want. And that's our secret. Let me repeat that. The reason why I'm successful is because I know what I need to feel better really clearly. And if it works for me, it works for the rest of the world. So I'm going to help you unlock these things. For someone like Rihanna, it was, what was your favorite song of all time? And I'll explain why. What is your favorite song of all time?
Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush.
Kate Bush, okay. Where were you when you first heard that song?
In the office of my dad, in 11 in the night, or maybe even later.
what do you remember happening when you were listening to the song? What was happening in the office?
For the first time, I felt it was really special, but I didn't like fell in love with it. So I had to listen again, and when I listened again, it was like magic, and I just couldn't stop listening. And I felt like I just, at that moment, I like kind of met myself.
Great. So there was, at that point, a marker. It's called a affective marker. It was an emotional marker that was the life before that moment and the life after, right? Significant, right? For certain artists that I was working with, it was that question. And for her, her answer was, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, because it was the last song that I sang to my father before he walked out of our lives. I was like, okay, now we can start. You see? But she could not tell me that until I asked that question and provided the space of comfort for her to be able to give me that answer. Because now I know that Wuthering Heights for you is a core moment that we can pull from. It did something to you. We must now explore what it did to you. Thank you. Give her a hand. Okay. Now we want to jump in. I'll teach you some more tricks. Limbic and unconscious locking. Now, at my class at Stanford, great. So we're going to take these answers and we're writing a song in real time. And you're now officially like a K-pop band with, how many people? 500 members in here, okay? So we're going to generate a song based on these answers. Now, the more authentic it is, the more authentic it will feel, the return. Because this gauges what you truly want to feel and hear at this moment, you see? The way we want, what this does is it helps you unlock what you want to feel, therefore to process your existence at the moment. Okay, who wants to tackle on a question to unlock themselves? Okay, it's a brave audience, I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Brave ladies, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yes, okay, we'll clarify. He's taking notes, so if you don't see it on the screen, just repeat one more time. Okay. Where are you? Okay, great.
Here.
Okay. All right. Just blocking out the noise and just trying to feel you. You have an opportunity to tell your father one thing when you were 7 years old. That mic is a direct line to your father at 7 years old. But knowing what you know now, what is that one thing you would tell him?
Talking about deep questions. I guess it's a very cliche, but I wish you would love me for just the way I am or who I am.
That's not cliche. That's very honest. Thank you. Have you ever asked yourself that question?
What?
A question like that. A question that gets you to think beyond your front experience and something maybe that is behind you that's shaped who you are.
Not that exact question, but I like to ask myself questions that are not regular ones.
Right, it's good, it's good. So this is how we're starting to get to what our needs are, right? This is unlocking the brain, right? Now you can use this maliciously, so don't, but at your own risk. Okay, so, right, okay, great. So we have the beginnings of a lyric. Thank you so much. All right, who wants to try to continue? You.
Okay.
And there's no, I mean, when you do this, you can do this with your family, you can do this with, your office teams, it doesn't matter, but you must sense if they're okay with answering these questions, right? And you must be very conscious of, providing and framing the space to do this. I'm very comfortable because I do this. I've been doing this for a long time, but we're doing each other a service. We're helping unlock each other through this process, right? Effective questioning that gets you to feel something is really what the core of this is. Okay, who's ready? Are you okay? And then you're next, I think. Right? Okay. All right. There's this interesting term I heard. A very prolific thought leader here. Very, very prolific. And he started talking about diplomacy and helping leaders resonate. And I think what he referred to is establishing a collective consciousness, right? Like, so we're kind of now seeing each other, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to feel who you are, get a sense of how you're sitting in your space. And I'll prove later how I do this, another part of this. Okay. Okay. You have one last meal in your life. You can pick anyone to have that last meal with, present or not present. That means not existing. Who would that be?
My mom.
So not only did that tell me that she's a very caring human being that wants to be with a family member on the last experience of dinner of her life, but also tells me the sense of character and who she is, right? Just by the tone and the response and how quickly she went there. I hope your father's okay with that, but
Is.
yes. So what made you answer that way? Tell us more about your mom.
Well, I lost her 7 years ago, so I miss her, like I miss myself in a way. And she, all that I am is because of her, and all that she is already in me.
That's beautiful. Give her a hand. Exactly. Now, that's really beautiful. Thank you. Now, what most people will do when they prompt these platforms, they'll give something generic, like write me a song about happiness. That's nothing. That's giving them nothing. Like, it doesn't know what happiness is, first off. So it's going to mirror all the training data it's received of, like, thousands of pop songs. So it's not going to connect. Okay, let's get a few more answers. We're getting to this lyric, and we're almost there. I can see it. Okay, who wants to try? All right, you're next. He's been, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, what's your name?
Eli.
Eli, where are you from?
Caesarea.
Eli, according to neuroscience, the last sense to go is your sense of hearing. If hearing is the last sense to go, what would you like to hear as the last sound before you pass away?
Everything will be okay.
Give him a hand. Who would say that to you?
My grandpa.
What was your grandfather like?
He was a very soothing person, very calming, and I feel like I had a deep connection with him. So that I likely like to hear him tell that to me.
That's very beautiful, Eli. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a world where we're going to be able to do that. We're doing this now. You can, you know, AI is going to allow us to not think one linear way, right? Time will be multidimensional. Like you can clone your grandfather's voice. You can do that now, right? But in this specific case, you might be needing to hear something that words do not have the bandwidth to give you. Words have a small bandwidth, right? But music has a bigger bandwidth. I am biased because I love it, but we've known music transcends language, transcends culture, transcends, it was the first way we started communicating. So maybe in this way, using an answer like that, putting it on a lyric, can give you something, right, that words can't give you. And this is why this is important. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll try one more, and then I'll show you an example of something. Okay, you, yeah. These answers are not because you have a whole room of people and you have the opportunity to share something and be witnessed in a way that you can't do anywhere else. Although that is a bias, it's not what's going to drive you to answer this. And I don't know what I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to feel my way through this based on you and your essence. There is a place you used to go to when you were young that you felt was the safest place in the world. Can you tell me about that place? You smiled when I asked that. Where is that place?
Yeah, I remembered there was like a big mountain like 20 minutes from my house that I used to go to with my parents, and just sitting there and watching like the view of the whole city, and everything just comes down and stops.
What did you discover there?
That I think I hold the power to my own emotional circumstances. Like that I can be relaxed within myself no matter where I am.
Is it safe to say you take that place wherever you go when you're stressed?
Yeah.
It's actually on the list of creativity, part of the skill. The ability to author your own reality is what you discovered on that mountain.
Yeah.
Give her a hand, that's great. Defining reality. So, I'm going to show you something. You got, yeah, okay. Okay. So, defining your own reality. So, self-authoring, I love this idea of creating a narrative in your head. Our brain understands the world by what we absorb. There's two states of storytelling in the brain. There's a proactive and a reactive state. If you do nothing, as far as conditioning your brain, you will receive inputs from the outer world and they will shape your thought process. That's called behavioral determinism. But if you're proactive and conscious about how you author the story of your day, just like she did and does, you can actually change the way your views and perspectives are for the outer world. Now, if you repeat this with action or follow through, an action that represents that story you tell your brain, you can actually change your behavior. This is a neurofeedback loop. But something more interesting that happens when I do, besides this discovery process of learning about people, is there's a shift when people share their personal stories, their personal experiences in real time. Would you catch this? Okay, perfect. So what I look for is not how she caught it, but I look for you, and you. What did you guys do? You were worried, exactly. He cared, because he was like, he almost went up to protect, right? And I saw over here too, they're like, that's called a collective consciousness. That's formed in 5 minutes in any space that you're in when you share vulnerability, when you're open enough. That's really powerful because now you're connected. We can measure this with brain scans. You can see that people start to connect and resonate, and their brainwave patterns start to sync up. So imagine that only by asking questions that matter to you and matter to someone else, that you can get to unlock who they are, but also unlock each other, and you start to resonate together and become almost one. That's really beautiful, and it's actually real. So that's what I discovered with working with pop stars, is once I put a mirror to their brain, and they learn to hold that mirror, they start giving me the best of themselves. And the best songs I've ever written were in this case. So there is a process to this. It's not that I don't know how this comes from, this music that I create. I know exactly how it comes from. It comes from you, right? We collaborate and write music together. So that's what I need you to do when you prompt Suno or Udio, who are being sued, right? That's what I need you to do when you prompt ChatGPT. If you're looking for a fulfillment of a deficit that's emotional or conscious, you must be able to understand what you're looking for, right? That's the power of unlocking. That's the power of creativity as a skill. So we're going to now demo this. We might fail miserably, or we might succeed. So I need a few genres. Okay, R&B. Okay, R&B. This is a K-pop band, so we're going to have to form sections here. R&B. Give me one more. Reggae. Reggae's good. Okay. Pop? Rock? Punk. Funk. Okay. R&B. Funk is good. I'm going to be a bit of a curator because I know what these platforms kind of... Jewish music. I mean, I don't know how much of the training team is in Israel, so I don't know how much access they have that, so we're going to be safe, and they probably are, actually. Okay. Yeah, let's make it simple. So R&B, funk, electronic. That's pretty simple. Remember, this is like so right now where this is at is, they're training as fast as they can. They're just like swallowing a bunch of pop music and historical music, and now getting into ethno, like different regions around the world, and try to capture as much music. But I know they've done a lot on electronic music, so I like funk, R&B, electronic. I'm giving you the parameters of where we're at now with this, and this is, again, the worst it's ever going to be. We're going to get to a state of recursive learning, so it's going to learn how to more effectively prompt itself to get into a closer need of you. When we get into the deeper levels of, interference, so when it starts to read my body temperature and all the feedbacks, we're just going to get more accurate at predicting what you want. But right now, we're like analog and digital, synthetic and organic. So the best of the human is understanding what their needs are and what is the emotional deficit they lack, so it uses to fulfill that. Now, okay, so we're using ChatGPT for lyrics because it's still the best, I think, in my opinion, as a writer training data for lyrics. So what's your prompt?
Pretty basic. Write me a lyrics for a song in the structure of, and then we have R&B, funk, electronic, about the following.
Yeah, this is real time.
Real time.
Okay, this is literally real time, so, and you can do this. That's what we're showing you. We can do it all in one platform. You can use Suno and Udio to do this. There's two top platforms right now for music generating content. But I just feel like ChatGPT right now, based on my experience, will give us the best lyric. So now, what's your choice? Are you going to use Udio? Which platform are you going to use to take the lyric? So he's going to take the lyric we just generated, and we're going to input it into the music generating software, and it's going to take this lyric and create a pop song from this lyric. It's going to generate the singer. It's going to generate the tonality of the song based on the genre inputs. So you inputted a genre already? Okay. Okay, so let's walk through that process. Okay, so now you're going to walk through the process. You're going to copy paste. Okay? Generate lyrics. You already generated it, so just copy paste the lyric. And then, lyrics. Okay? In the style of, exactly. R&B, funk. Okay, so we're now going to create. So the thing with pop music is it's kind of a summary, a succinct version of all styles of music. And there are regional music that gets the scales to pop. In this case, we're focusing on these three genres. And the way we're measuring the success is, does it make you feel something? Does it pass your emotional Turing test? And when you answer the questions, does it connect a little bit? Right? That's what we're asking. It's where we're at. Now, is the first demo ready? How long did that take? Well, it's like 10 seconds? 5 seconds? 2 versions are ready, so we get to now curate. Okay, let's do demo 1. Remember, does it make you feel something? That's how we're going to pass this test, emotional Turing test.
In the office, felt like magic. Could not stop listening, just so. Met myself in the mirror's glow. Found a rhythm in the workflow. Just love me the way I am. No pretenses, no grand scan. This all night, I've been this myself. I am who I am because of her. Well, all that she is already in me. Her love, her strength, her legacy. Everything will be okay, I believe. Hearing it from Grandpa, he's so serene. Just love me the way I am. No pretenses, no grand scan. This one night, I've been this myself. I am who I am because of her.
Okay, that's great. All right. Now, we challenged it because we have different contexts that don't usually go together, right? We have different narratives that don't go together, but somehow it still works, right? You feel something, and it's like when you go in and you really dial in that story further, right? Like, these are the things I experienced, it's the small nuances of the stories, the details. It gets really good, and it gets scary good. Let's hear example number 2.
In the office, felt like magic. Oh, could not stop listening, just so. Met myself in the mirror's glow. Found a rhythm in the workflow. Just love me the way I am. No pretenses, no grand scan. Miss mom like I miss myself. I am who I am because of her wealth.
already in me. Her love, her strength, her legacy. Everything will be okay, I believe. Hearing it from Grandpa, he's so sweet. Just love me the way I am. No pretenses, no grandstand. Miss Mom like I miss myself. I am who I am because of her wealth.
Great. So now here's the magic. You are officially songwriters. This is, again, as bad as it's going to get, right? But it gives us a glimpse to how we can see this as a way to leverage what words can do, right? Leverage actually music as a technology, understanding how to unlock yourself and your creative self, that everyone truly is creative. It's a skill. And maybe it can bring us closer together once we understand what our needs are as people and what our needs are as a group. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, my assistant producer.
Thanks so much. Magic indeed, and I think it definitely was catchy, but not emotionally empty. So I think that we've reached the conclusion of a fascinating day. We've already received great feedbacks, and I really appreciate it. And we explored the future of creativity in the age of generative AI. And throughout the session, we're exposed to new technologies and discussed profound philosophical questions and legal challenges. And the technological revolution, basically, brings with it a dramatic change, but at the same time raise many questions like, will AI replace art, or will it actually enhance creativity? So it seems that we are on a cusp of a fundamental change. AI opens new doors to creativity, but it also presents significant challenges. So we must continue to question and investigate its impact in order to ensure and enhance creativity rather than diminish it. I would like to thank again the speakers, the distinguished speakers and panelists, and all the participants for the valuable contribution to the conference. To Ed Horowitz and Co., the managing partners, Limor and all the marketing team, to Gilly and all the market and all the team at AI Week for making this happen, and to all of you who are coming for attending this evening tonight and discussion. Let us hope that we continue together to build a future where AI and human creativity blend harmoniously. Thank you all very, very much. And there is a session now, if you're interested, Tech versus Hate, Combating Anti-Semitism, online at Bar Shira. If you're interested, you are very welcome. Thank you all and have a good evening.